The ventilation shaft hummed its mechanical lullaby as Jixon wiped grease from his calloused hands. Station Kalara 9 stretched endlessly around him. A maze of chrome corridors and flickering hollow displays where 1,000 species bartered, schemed, and survived. He'd been here 3 years now, fixing starship engines for credits that barely kept him fed. Nobody told him loneliness would be the hardest part of leaving Earth. "Sir?" A small voice pierced his thoughts. "You look sad." Jixon glanced down. A child stood before him, no taller than his hip. Her scales shimmered iridescent blue under the station's artificial lights, and delicate horns curved back from her temples. Her eyes, large and golden, studied him with unsettling intelligence. "A draken, one of the galaxy's dragon-descended species." "I'm fine, kid," Jixon muttered, returning to his toolbox. The draken were known throughout the sector as warriors and traders, their pride legendary. What was a child doing in the maintenance sector? "You smell of sorrow," the girl insisted, tilting her head. Her tail swished behind her, scales clicking softly against the metal floor. Like smoke after fire dies, Jixon paused. The draken had enhanced senses, he remembered. Of course she could smell his emotions. "Just homesick," he admitted, surprised at his own honesty. "Long way from home." The girl's expression brightened. "Want to meet my mother? She makes everyone feel better. She's very good at it." Jixon almost laughed. "Thanks, but I don't think your mom wants a random human showing up. She won't mind." Come. The girl grabbed his hand with surprising strength. Her scales felt warm, almost feverish. "She always says lonely souls need connection." "You're lonely, yes?" Something in those earnest golden eyes made refusal impossible. Maybe it was the kindness so rare in this cold station. Maybe he was just tired of eating synthetic rations alone in his quarters. "All right," Jixon sighed. "Lead the way." The girl, she introduced herself as Xena, chattered continuously as they navigated the station's upper levels. Jixon learned she was 73 years old, which shocked him until he remembered Draken aged differently. In her species terms, she was barely a youngling. They stopped before a door marked with Draken glyphs. Xena pressed her palm to the scanner, and the door slid open with a hiss. The apartment beyond was nothing like Jixon expected. Instead of the austere military aesthetic most Draken preferred, this space was warm. Tapestries hung from the walls depicting alien landscapes, and actual plants, real living plants, grew in ceramic pots. The scent of something cooking wafted through the air, spicy and complex. "Mama, I brought someone," Xena called. A figure emerged from what must have been the kitchen. Jixon's breath caught. She was tall, even for a draken, her scales a deeper blue than her daughter's. But it wasn't her physical presence that stopped him. It was her eyes, ancient, knowing, carrying depths of experience that made his 3 years on the station feel like nothing. "Xena," the woman said, her voice a rich contralto. "You've been collecting strays again." "He smells like sadness, Mama, like you used to smell." "Before we came here." The woman's expression softened. She studied Jixon for a long moment, and he felt inexplicably naked under that gaze, as if she could see every mistake he'd made, every regret he carried. "I am Sirith," she said finally. "Please sit. You've already been conscripted by my daughter's empathy. The least I can offer is a meal." Dinner was awkward at first. Jixon sat at a low table while Sirith served something that looked like stew, but smelled of cinnamon and starlight. Xena chattered between bites, telling her mother about her day, about the merchant who'd tried to cheat her at the marketplace, about the new ships in the docking bay. "You're human," Sirith said suddenly, her golden eyes fixing on Jixon. "Earthborn?" "New Chicago," Jixon confirmed. "Left 5 years ago. Been on this station for 3. "Homesick," Sirith said. It wasn't a question. Jixon nodded, surprised by the tightness in his throat. "Didn't think it'd be this hard. Everyone back home said I was lucky getting work in the stations. They said I'd see the galaxy, make something of myself." He laughed bitterly. "Instead, I fix engines and eat alone every night." "Connection," Sirith said softly, "is not a human weakness. It's a human strength." Jixon looked up, confused. Sirith set down her utensil, her expression distant. "I commanded a warship once. The Pride of Draconis, flagship of the Third Fleet. We were taught that strength meant isolation, that bonds made you vulnerable." She glanced at Xena, and something painful crossed her face. "I lost everything because I believed that. My ship, my crew, nearly lost my daughter." "What happened?" Jixon asked, transfixed. Pirates, Searath said simply. We fought. We were stronger, better armed. But they had something we didn't. They fought for each other, not just for victory. When my ship fell, I was ready to die with my pride intact. She reached over and touched Xena's head gently. This little one wouldn't let me. She crawled through burning corridors, dragged me to an escape pod, saved my life. Xena beamed with pride. A human ship found us, Searath continued. The SSC Anna, a cargo vessel with a crew of 12. They had no reason to help us. We were Draken. Your species and mine barely tolerate each other. But they brought us aboard anyway, fed us, cared for Xena's burns. The captain, Anna herself, sat with me every evening. Just talked. About nothing and everything. Jixon listened, seeing where this was going. She taught me something my proud species never understood. Searath said, humans don't survive because you're the strongest or the smartest. You survive because you refuse to let each other fall. Your weakness is your strength. You need connection like you need oxygen. And somehow that makes you indomitable. The words hit Jixon like a physical force. He thought about Earth, about his sister who messaged him every week despite the communication lag, about his old crew chief who'd taught him everything about engines, about the community he'd left behind. I've been stupid, he whispered. No, Searath corrected gently. You've been alone. There's a difference. Xena suddenly grabbed both of their hands, forming a bridge between them. Now you're not alone. You can come for dinner every week. Mama makes extra food anyway. Jixon looked at this dragon woman and her impossibly kind daughter. Something cracked in his chest. Something that had been frozen for 3 years. I'd like that, he said, and meant it. 6 months later, Jixon's quarters looked different. Photos lined the walls now. Him and Xena at the market. Him and Searath sharing drinks after a long shift. Other faces, too. A Ventaran engineer he'd befriended. A human couple from the farming sector. Even old Anna herself during a supply run that brought her through Kalara 9. The loneliness hadn't disappeared completely, but it no longer defined him. As he headed to Searath's apartment for their weekly dinner, Jixon smiled. The galaxy was vast and cold, filled with species that prided themselves on strength and independence. But humanity's secret, the thing that made them survivors, that made them matter, was simpler than that. They remembered that nobody had to be alone unless they chose to be. And sometimes all it took was a dragon girl with golden eyes asking the right question. You look sad, sir. Want to meet my mother? Yes, he did. And